The global dependency on nature is becoming clearer. As of 2020, the World Economic Forum has estimated that $44 trillion of economic value, more than half of the global gross domestic product, is moderately or highly dependent on nature. Losses in nature pose a dire threat to humanity and present a risk to business and finance. A major reason behind environmental degradation is that we have failed to address a fundamental problem. We do not internalize environmental impacts into everyday decision-making. In addition, the lack of quality data, governance, and unified standards makes it difficult for market participants to verify the integrity of green claims and marketing. The Accounting for Nature framework is designed to help governments, investors, and the community make more informed decisions as to whether an organization or product is improving or degrading the environment. The Accounting for Nature framework was originally conceptualized in 2008 by the Wentworth Group of concerned scientists and other experts in science, economics, and statistics. They developed a conceptual model that can be applied at any scale to measure changes in the state of nature over time, to help understand if the environmental condition is improving or degrading. That model is what formed the base of the Accounting for Nature framework and standard. The framework is today managed by Accounting for Nature Limited, a not-for-profit organization working with entities and individuals around the world. Accounting for Nature provides an independent certification standard of environmental accounts that meet the scientific requirements of the framework. The framework is founded on over 15 years of scientific research and testing, and provides third-party verification to enhance disclosure and integrity of claims. Importantly, the framework provides a public registry of environmental accounts to enhance transparency. At Accounting for Nature, we perform many important tasks to facilitate the adoption of environmental accounting practices and ensure environmental accounts are scientifically rigorous. Firstly, we administer the Accounting for Nature standard and certify environmental accounts that have been produced in accordance with the standard. Secondly, we accredit scientific methods developed to measure the environmental condition. Furthermore, we provide guidance and advice to method developers and proponents seeking to build environmental accounts. We also provide training and focus on building a community of practice in environmental accounting. This is important as we do not build environmental accounts, since this would be a conflict of interest as a certification standard. Lastly, we engage in emerging technologies to ensure the scientific rigor of environmental accounts, and adopt these technologies to ensure environmental condition accounting remains cost-effective. The Accounting for Nature framework has been designed to complement many existing standards, targets, and reporting frameworks, by providing detailed instructions on how to measure environmental condition in a standardized and repeatable manner. Certified environmental accounts can underpin frameworks that require scientific measurement of the state of nature and provide an additional layer of trust, having been verified by Accounting for Nature. Environmental accounts certified under Accounting for Nature are compatible with the UN SIA. The Accounting for Nature framework was developed according to best practice standards in environmental accounting. The framework aligns with the UN SIA, the United Nations System of Environmental Economic Accounting. There are many reasons why environmental accounting practices are becoming widely adopted around the world. At the core is the ability to make more informed decisions about management activities, and to be able to communicate the outcomes of management actions or interventions. Companies also seek certification of environmental accounts to underpin environmental reporting, to sell credits under environmental markets, and to obtain or maintain access to food and fiber markets. Whatever the purpose, a certified environmental account by Accounting for Nature demonstrates that the environmental condition has been measured using scientifically credible approaches and that the results can be trusted. A common unit of measure is needed to link the state of nature to economic decision-making. The Econd stands for the Environmental Condition Index and forms a core part of the Accounting for Nature framework. The Econd provides a single value to describe the state of nature. The Econd uses the long-standing science of reference benchmarking and communicates environmental condition as a score from 0 to 100. A reference benchmark describes what a particular environmental asset would look like without human-induced degradation. An Econd of 100 represents that the environmental asset is in its best possible condition, while an Econd of 0 means that it's fully degraded. The Econd allows us to do three important things. Firstly, it allows us to compare the relative condition between different environmental assets. For example, you could compare the condition of soils, native vegetation, and fresh water within a property. Secondly, the Econd allows us to compare the condition of the same environmental asset between different locations. This means we could easily understand if the vegetation in a national park in Australia is in better or worse condition than one in England. Lastly, the Econd allows us to aggregate the condition across various scales. For example, if multiple properties generate environmental condition accounts measuring the same asset, we can aggregate these to gain a better understanding of the environmental condition across the region. Similarly, environmental accounts developed at the regional scale can be used to help landholders within the region understand how they are tracking compared to the region at large. Accounting for Nature has a 5-step approach to developing and certifying environmental accounts. Whilst we will briefly cover these steps, our online environmental accounting course provides detailed guidance on how to prepare a certifiable environmental account. The first step to developing an environmental account is to decide what to measure and where. These decisions will be informed by the purpose of the environmental accounts and any claims your organization would like the data to support. To simplify and standardize the reporting of environmental condition, we break the environment down into its various components. At the coarsest level, the environment is broken down into freshwater, ocean, and land. The realms also include transition zones where they intersect. For example, where ocean and land intersect you may have coastal wetlands, and where freshwater and ocean intersect you may have estuaries. At Accounting for Nature, we break the realms down one step further into asset classes. These consist of fauna, vegetation, soil and sediment, microorganisms, ecosystems, and water. Methods can be developed either for a whole asset class or for a component of an asset class. For example, it is common for methods to measure the condition of vegetation or soils broadly. Other times asset classes might be narrowed down into specific environmental assets. This is common for fauna, where a method might specifically measure the condition of birds, mammals, or even individual species. The condition of environmental assets is measured using Accounting for Nature accredited methods. Methods are typically developed by third parties when there is a need to measure an environmental asset and a suitable method isn't already available. New methods need to follow criteria outlined in the Accounting for Nature standard. In addition, the method rules contain detailed instructions on every step of the method development process. All new methods undergo a rigorous review before accreditation. Accounting for Nature has an independent science committee, consisting of some of the world's most renowned scientists, that review every method for its scientific rigor. Methods can be developed and accredited at different accuracy levels. These are classified as either very high with 95% accuracy, high at 90% accuracy, or moderate with 80% accuracy. An Econd generated by applying the method will obtain the same accuracy level as the method was accredited at. A high level of accuracy means that there is greater confidence that the Econd represents the actual condition of the environmental asset. However, it may take more time and resources to implement methods with higher levels of accuracy. Once the environmental assets have been selected, methods have been identified, and the accounting area has been decided, it is time to design the asset accounts. Every method will generate a separate environmental asset account and its own Econd. It is possible to only include one asset account in your environmental account. However, you may want to better understand the condition of multiple environmental assets, in which case you will apply more than one method and therefore generate multiple asset accounts. The method will include detailed instructions on how it should be applied, including any type of stratification, data collection, and Econd calculations. To summarize, one environmental account can contain one or multiple asset accounts, each generating its own Econd for a specific environmental asset. Each asset account is supported by its own accredited method. The selection of methods is informed by the scope and the purpose of the environmental account. Two certification pathways are available under the Accounting for Nature framework: Independent Audit and AFN Verified. These options have been developed to cater for the various purposes behind environmental accounts. The independent audit pathway involves having the account audited through a limited or reasonable assurance audit by an Accounting for Nature accredited auditor. This certification pathway is mandatory for anyone wishing to use the environmental account to access environmental markets. This pathway is also recommended for anyone wishing to make public green claims using the environmental account as a source of truth, as the third-party verification provides an additional layer of trust and credibility. Under the AFN verified pathway, environmental accounts are reviewed by Accounting for Nature Limited through a technical assessment. This certification pathway is popular amongst family farms and smaller companies that are starting their environmental accounting journey. It is a suitable pathway if the main purpose of the account is to inform management decisions. Accounting for Nature formally recognizes professional practitioners in the environmental accounting field through expert and auditor accreditation. Accredited experts are professionals in fields relating to environmental accounting, such as ecologists, soil scientists, marine ecologists, or environmental managers. These experts can help others develop environmental accounts under the Accounting for Nature framework. Accredited auditors often come from an environmental auditing background and meet the criteria of the Accounting for Nature framework to audit environmental accounts under the Independent Audit Certification pathway. The eligibility requirements to become accredited as an expert or auditor are available on our website. Our online course in environmental accounting is a prerequisite for anyone seeking accreditation as an expert or auditor, and provides prospective users with a deeper understanding of the concepts and processes involved in creating an environmental account. It's clear that our understanding of the environment and its value is evolving. Through our scientific approach, we've glimpsed a future where businesses, policymakers, and individuals can make informed decisions that benefit our economy and safeguard our planet's precious resources. The Accounting for Nature framework offers a pathway towards a future where the state and value of nature are measured to be recognized and integrated into decision-making processes, policies, and investments. By quantifying and valuing ecosystem services, we can foster more responsible stewardship of our natural capital, ensuring its preservation for generations to come. For more information about Accounting for Nature, and to view our methods, standard, and other key documents, please visit our website accountingfornature.org.